Welcome to the Word for Life podcast, a daily devotional covering the entire Bible from Genesis to Revelation.
In Leviticus chapter 3, God gives instructions for fellowship offering. What is this fellowship offering? You see, in verse 11, we see this as a food offering to the Lord. You see, this does not mean the Lord was to eat this food. The fellowship offering occurs throughout the Old Testament for people eating meals together. For example, in Exodus 24, this offering was offered when God made a covenant with his people, and there people eat this meal together. If you read about this fellowship offering in Leviticus chapter 7, verse 11 to 21, you will find out that the worshippers who came to offer this offering ate this meal as part of a banquet. So by eating together, the people of Israel celebrated their fellowship with God and with one another, and that is why it is called as fellowship offering. Friends, God desired Israel's fellowship, but not only with him, but also that they will have true fellowship with one another. That is why in the early church, it says they broke bread with each other, and they were deeply devoted to fellowship. Also see in the New Testament, the Bible calls the church as the fellowship of the saints. Believers invite other believers to have fellowship with them. No Christian, no believer acts as an island. Every believer is connected with other believers. And also notice in Leviticus chapter 3 that before the worshippers had a meal together, they would offer the first part to the Lord. And that is what Leviticus chapter 3 emphasizes. The first part belongs to the Lord. A small part of the offering is first offered to the Lord. Also notice how the Lord specifies what part of the sacrificial animal needs to be offered to him. Let's read verse 4 and 5. Both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, which you will remove with the kidneys. Verse 5. Then Aaron's sons are to burn it on the altar on top of the burnt offering that is lying on the burning wood. It is a food offering, an aroma pleasing to the Lord. You see, the Israelites who would bring this offering to the Lord must offer the kidneys and the fat around them to the Lord, and also the liver to the Lord. Today, the kidneys and the liver may not be considered as delicacies, but in ancient Israel, those were considered to be special meat, and therefore the Lord commands that they be offered to him. Those parts must be burnt on the altar, and the aroma will be pleasing to the Lord. And only then the rest of the sacrifice will go to the worshippers and they can eat it. Friends, this tells us that not only was God to be offered the first part of the offering, but also it tells us that these Israelites were able to have fellowship with one another only because God has brought them together. You see, God is the one who united them as one nation and as one people. It is God who made this fellowship possible. Therefore, Israelites need to celebrate the Lord who brought them into fellowship. Friends, New Testament believers can praise God today because in Jesus Christ they have been brought together as one family. Believers are one body today, but they are not united by name, fame, which nation they belong to, or which language they speak, but they are united by Jesus Christ. And that is why they celebrate Jesus who brought them into fellowship. Friends, Christ wants believers to be one body, and that is the reason they stay united. And when believers stay united, when they have that sweet fellowship with one another, and that becomes a sweet aroma for the Lord.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow for the next episode of the Word for Life podcast.